Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special, I'm going to call it mini podcast, but I'm also going to call it just a chat, just an analysis of the 2022 F1 cars that have been released. And of course, alongside me is the WTF1 founder, Tom Bellingham. Tommy, we're going to be rating both the car liveries and also the car launches out of 10, starting in reverse championship order from last year. How are you feeling about it?
I have some spicy livery takes as always. And yeah, car launch, we had a bit of a mixed bag. So it'd be interesting to see the reviews on them as well. Okay,
let's start with, of course, Haas. They unfortunately finished last in the championship last year. And firstly, we will start with the car launch. There wasn't one.
What launch?
There wasn't one. So we're going to have to say, because it's a livery drop, you can't really give it anything, can you? So I'm going to give that a solid 0 out of 10 because there wasn't a launch.
Yeah, I like the fact that they did just drop pictures, which everyone wants to see. But then when they do that, it is a bit of a shame that there's no substance. So yeah, it's got to be a 0. There wasn't a launch. It's just pictures, and it looked nothing like the car anyway, as we found out now.
Exactly. So a pair of zeros for the for the car launch. But going to the livery. I don't think either of us were particularly blown away by it, were we, Tommy? I think that, it was safe, not really anything too striking. I am going to give this livery a straight down the middle 5 out of 10.
I've given it a 5.5 because I think it's a little bit...
We've already got into decimals.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to go into decimals.
It's fine.
It looks a lot smarter on track than it did in the renders, but it's still, you can't get away from the fact that it's kind of odd that you have a very Russian livery for an American F1 team.
Yeah, there's not much American left in there, although Andretti might be coming to the sport in 2024. So that might bring some American back to F1. But yeah, the car looked very different, didn't it, when they actually shook it down in terms of the design and whatnot. And it's hard, isn't it?
The wing,
the wang on the rear was unbelievable, so big. And it's difficult as well because when you rate a livery, I feel like some of that car design gets eked into that rating as well. Don't you think?
100%. Yeah, because this one, it's the way the car's shaped and like the flowing lines. You could argue that the actual livery is not that dissimilar from Aston Martin if we take the colours aside in terms of just a livery, that it's a block colour and then some nice lines. But it just doesn't, it's not a wow, is it?
It's not wow.
It's just decent. It's all right.
Decent. 5.5 means decent? Okay. All right. Interesting. What does 10 mean?
Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. It's the okay livery.
The okay livery. Right. Moving on to Williams now. So on the car launch, it was a pre-record interview, quite obviously. I would say a slightly awkward interview.
Very.
I think it's fair to say it was a little bit like the host didn't really know how to interact with the two drivers. I think that obviously the two drivers may be a little bit nervous, especially Albon being back in Formula One. They then showed a launch video and then showed the car. And I believe it was a show car from what I understand. It doesn't look anything like what they shook down at Silverstone. But as for the car launch, it wasn't great, was it?
No, a pre-recorded video as well. There was some awkward, and they kept all the awkward moments of silence and mistakes. And if you're going to do a pre-recorded video, surely polish it up and make it snappy, but it did seem a bit awkward.
It was almost like they tried to make it seem it was live. But it was quite obviously they were pre-recorded. Yeah. I'm going to give the launch a 4 out of 10. It didn't blow me away.
Yeah, I think a 4 is fair.
4 out of 10, a pair of 4s. And as for the livery itself, now this is an intriguing one, isn't it, Tommy? Because this is where we also get into the discussion of render versus real. But it was the other way around in some regards, where I felt like some of the images they put out were a bit meh. And then we looked at the car on track and I went, oh,
there was nice.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all, especially the shot of the Williams coming out of the garage. There's that really mean looking shot. I don't know how much of that is the actual car itself and the 2022 regs being like, hey, I'm here and I'm getting used to it. But I felt like it actually, is very much in the solid sort of 7.5 range. I'm going to go with a 7.5 for the livery for the Williams.
I've gone for a 7. It's a million times better than last year. We all know what I thought about it last year, but yeah,
tell us, what was the headline that you said for last year's?
I genuinely thought it was the worst livery I've ever seen in the history of F1. I absolutely despised it. But this is much more Williams. It's nice and smart. Lots of blues. Red for me is a bit doesn't scream Williams to me. The red on it. I know they said it was because British, but British bias.
Yeah, quick.
That's
British bias topic. Come on.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not the biggest fan of the red, but it's a solid livery. Yeah, 7 for me.
Okay, now we move on to Aston Martin. God, that is quite sad for them, isn't it? That we're already on to Aston Martin. That just shows how bad of a season they had last year. They, of course, had a proper launch. They had Lawrence Stroll doing the good old bad guy vibes, the evil villain from the films. But I felt like it was probably one of the best launches. They had, striking parts of the launch. It was very much, they had a bit of chat, but then they got on with it. Then they had a chat with the drivers. I felt like it was almost the perfect car launch. So for the launch itself, I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10. I don't think there's much you could improve from the Aston Martin launch.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8, maybe, just because there was quite a lot of Lawrence Stroll chat reading off an auto cue and quite scripted, but it did feel that they sort of got on with it fairly quickly. And I think because of the hype of them doing it quite early, we were just sort of excited, and we there wasn't too much of the show the car. We just got a nice amount of chatting and then revealing their beautiful car.
Absolutely. And as for the livery itself, this is where we get, I thought I'd be straight 10 after it being launched, but I feel like you have to alter around the ones you've seen. So I think this livery for me gets a 9.5 out of 10. Interesting.
I have gone for a 10. I absolutely love it. I think they've absolutely nailed it. The green's so much better. It's quite simple, but it just works. And it's kind of what everyone wanted last year, wasn't it? With the proper AMR colours. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. Only reason I don't feel like I can give 2 10s.
Spoiler alert.
So yeah, there's a 10 coming. There's a 10 coming. What could it possibly be? Okay, on to Alpha Tauri next. And they just showed a video, 1-minute fashion show, and the car was there. It was not exactly a launch. Obviously, when I think of a car launch, I think a genuine event. But they did do something to show the car at least. So I am going to give Alpha Tauri a 6 out of 10 for their video and showing us within a minute what went on.
I like how quickly they showed the car, but I think they were let down the fact that they did a live video on YouTube, but then released the thing on Twitter at the same time. So everyone could just scrub through the video really quick, get the pictures of the car, and then it was kind of gone. So for that reason, I'm giving them a 6. I will give them a 6 because I like how quickly they showed the car. We all can appreciate that. I've
been watching a lot of Dragon's Den recently, and they do a lot of, and for that reason, I'm out. And it just gave me that vibe that Tommy's like, I'm not investing in the Alpha Tauri today. Love that. And as for the car livery, it is very much Uno reverse, as we like to joke on social media. I am going to give this a 7 out of 10. I think that the flex box, or whatever it is, Flexi Boy, as we thought it said, doesn't fit very well. It's not exactly extravagant. So yeah, it's a 7 from me.
I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I like it. It's very smart. It's kind of the opposite to one that we'll speak about to later, where they've not got particularly interesting colors maybe, but they've just fitted it really nicely on the car. And I just think it looks sleek and smart, which is, I guess, what you'd expect from a fashion brand.
Yeah, fair enough. I appreciate your opinion. And that's the whole point of these videos. Right, next up, Alpine. This is going to be an interesting conversation. So Alpine had probably one of the worst car launches, in my opinion, because it was dull. It was like we had people on stage that we didn't even have any sort of emotional connection to, not like an Otmar straight up there, chatting about how excited he is to join the team. We had some very, big dogs in the world of Alpine. So, and it was it was literally in a conference center.
So corporate.
I love how they especially when people came up on stage and they just strobed loads of lights, and they tried to make it look like really sort of cinematic and stuff, but they just had one camera angle of just watching the person walk up the stairs.
It felt very dated. It felt like that's probably what car launches were like, back in the early 2000s, before social media. But it did feel extremely dated and really, really corporate, didn't it?
It did. So of course they had this whole conversation. Then they showed the car on stage, and then they showed a second car, which they're going to be running in the first two races of the season, which I think we both found quite baffling. And we weren't even listening to what they were saying. And then everyone in the chat, because we were doing our watch along to the livery reveal, the car launches, and people were like, no, there's another one. We're like, what? And alas, there was. So let's start with the first one, the primarily blue with pink on it. I am going to give this car a 6 out of 10. No, 5 out of 10. No, 5 out of 10. It doesn't get any more than Haas.
I'm giving it a 5. It's 5. 5 might even be too generous. No, I think it is a 5. This to me screams that, like, it just shows that sponsors are everything with a livery design team. Alpine were the best team last year for a livery, in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. Thought it was 9, 10 out of 10 livery. This year with the BWT, you can just tell that there's a lot of sponsors on there that will not budge with certain colors. Castrol, map free on the side, that red stripe doesn't work with the rest of the car. So it's just a bit messy, in my opinion.
It just looks like you've been given like a model car, like as a kid, and you've been given loads of stickers that you could just stick on randomly. And that's kind of what the map free and the Castrols really do sort of shine out, and not in a good way either. It just doesn't merge with the livery at all. But
I'd love
the
to have
Alpine
seen it
blue,
merge.
I'm still in love with.
Yeah, I love the Alpine blue, but I'd have loved them to like merge the pink in with the blue, maybe a bit nicer, but it does look like last year's Alpine livery that's gone, we're sponsored by BWT now, throw some pink on it, which is obviously not what happened. There's a massive long process of back and forth with sponsors and everything, but yeah, it's not for me. So I'm giving it 4. No, I'm giving it 4.5.
4.5.
And I'm going to give the launch itself a 1 because it was very dreary.
Yes, we actually need to rate that as well. So the launch, it's a 1. I'm of the same opinion. So the launches, we've given a pair of 1s. You've given a 4.5. I've given a 5 for the blue and pink one. As for the other livery that they're going to be running for the first 2 races of the season, which is primarily pink, I am going to give that a 5.5 out of 10.
I've gone for a 6. It's a lot better, in my opinion. It looks, I like it more because it looks at least like a full livery. But I'm not wowed by it because it does just feel like a Racing Point tribute act, doesn't it?
It does.
Having a very similar.
I love how there's a lot of memes going around about Esteban Ocon and the fact that he thought he escaped Racing Point and all of the horrors that went there with him being dropped, and now he's back in a Racing Point pretty much.
Yeah.
The thing is, I do like the pink, and I've been calling for the pink to come back, but there's parts of the car, like towards the rear, where it's jagged lines and things like that, where I'm just not sure. That just doesn't look right to me.
No.
So it kind of ruins the livery quite a bit for me. But yeah, it's certainly not one of the best liveries, is it?
Nope.
No. So speaking of bad liveries, let's move on to McLaren.
Oh, this is where it gets spicy.
Spicy. So let's talk about the launch first. They had a very long car launch, probably up there with Mercedes in terms of length. Obviously, you had a lot of chats, a lot of speaking about all of their different series of launches, because they weren't just launching the McLaren Formula One car. They were launching IndyCar. They were launching McLaren Shadow and Extreme E. Was that the other one?
Yeah, Extreme E.
So there's 4 that they were launching, and all of the car liveries look better than the F1 car, in my opinion.
Yes. The launch went on a long time, and then I thought it was going to be a case where we got to see like each team had its moment in the spotlight, and they kind of did chat about it, but I thought it was going to be, and you can see why now because they matched all their liveries together, so they didn't want to spoil anything. But the fact that there was a lot of waffle and chat, and everyone wanted to see the car, and then it was just like all 4 cars at the same time. Here you go. It was a bit like, oh,
anticlimactic a little bit, wasn't it? I am going to give the launch. I can appreciate the effort they put into it, so I'm not going to give it a 1 like the Alpine in the conference centre. I'm going to give it 6 because I think that there is a lot of effort that went into it. I can appreciate what they were doing. I felt like it did drag on a little bit, but that's just, that is car launches. But yeah, it wasn't like an Aston Martin, which I felt, wrapped it up very nicely and, got the conversation flowing with the car pretty much straight away.
Yeah, I'd say 6.5, something like that. But
no, you got to go. What are you going to say?
I'm saying 6.5.
For the leaderboard. Okay, 6.5 for Tommy. As for the car, now, feel like the blue really ruins it.
How nice can we be here?
Yeah, I feel like the orange is going to stand out a lot because it does look incredibly bright and fluorescent.
They've made it fluoro orange, matte finish. It's a bit. I think it's different to the papaya they had, isn't it? They've gone for a much brighter orange. Yes. Who's going to be the one to say?
You say your number first.
Orange and black are my favorite 2 colors, and somehow this is my least favorite livery of the lot, which is I really, especially after seeing it on track, the pictures they've shared in Barcelona, I really dislike it now. There's a lot wrong with it, in my opinion. The new cars, we mentioned it with the Aston, they're so sleek and flowing, and to put like all these jaggedy shapes on it, which looks great on their Extreme E livery, but don't match your Extreme E livery to your F1 car and like sacrifice your F1 car because it matches your Extreme E. This one, from what I've seen on social, it is a proper Marmite. You love it or hate it, and I hate it. Sorry, Mclaren.
What number are you going to put to it?
4, if I'm being generous.
That's where I was 4, at 4 out of 10. Looks even worse, in my opinion, with no sponsors on it.
It looks like My Team livery, a lot of people have said, and I do agree that, no sponsors for the moment while they're doing a filming day. Not sure if there'll be any circuits where it is sponsorless, but it just looks very F2.
Yeah, it is on that on the way, isn't it, to the Williams from last year in terms of, you get one of those sort of like custom default thingy cars that you can just choose from at the start of your career. Okay, we won't go too much more beefing. So I know there are a lot of McLaren fans out there. So
we've already been cancelled. It's fine for an opinion.
I hope you guys are rating out of 10 for both the car launches and the liveries as well, and comment it in the comments. It'd be good to see what you guys think. What else we got? We've got the next one is Ferrari. So let's talk about Ferrari now, because I like talking about a Ferrari car. So the actual launch itself, they showed a video of the car getting revealed. They had the car on stage. They spoke to Binotto for a bit. It was in Italian, wasn't it? From what I remember. Although, I say from what I remember, there was clearly translation on the screen. But, maybe I should have learned Italian by now, seeing how passionate I am. But the launch itself, it's just typical Ferrari, in my opinion. I think that we're going to go. It wasn't too long. Didn't mess around too much. I think it's a solid 7.5 for me from Ferrari. Yeah,
I'll go 7. No, I'm going to go 8 because I like the fact that they just got on with it, showed the car quite quickly, but there was a little bit to it.
Yeah, nice. So no horrible feelings about the car launch. And as for the livery, let's just go straight out there and get the home run baseball bat out.
Next.
It's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10 from me. The car is just sex on wheels. It really is. It is unbelievable. And it looks just as good, if not better, on track as well. There's been some shots that have come out from them doing their shakedown where it just looks so good. So fully expect, as I've said already in the podcasts previously running up to this season, the passion to really be fully flowing for this year. Ferrari are any good.
Even I'm a passionate Ferrari fan now after seeing this. It is that good.
You still haven't sent me your application form. I haven't
fully
I need accepted you. I need a Ferrari cape.
Yeah, this car is, for me, it gets a 10. Yeah, it is getting a 10. The only thing that maybe lets down a little bit is the black numbers that don't stand out. But because it's so good, I can't give it anything other than a 10 because I absolutely love it. I don't think I've loved a Formula One car as much in absolutely ages, as much as I love this Ferrari. It's just so nice. It's so beautiful. It's so simple. I love that they've gone to like the darker red and not tried to do anything too fancy with it. This is like the perfect example of like less is more when it comes to a livery. There's not actually that much design to it. They've just gone boom, classic Ferrari, black wings, a nice new sort of wine red color. I love it so much. I absolutely love it. It's a 10.
You throw in some medium compound tires with the yellow trim. It's just unbelievable.
The little fluoro yellow on the new wheel covers. There's a little bit of a throwback as well. Yeah, it's awesome.
Just stunning. Just going to start drooling if we don't move on. So that's a 10 out of 10 for both of us for the Ferrari. Let's move to Red Bull now. So with the car launch, Tommy, you did it with Katie. So why don't you run through what happened there?
Yeah, so there was a long chat with they announced the kind of Oracle title sponsorship. They kept sort of cutting to the car, revealing little bits of it, and then cutting back and having a chat. So I like the fact that they broke up the launch a bit, but it didn't get away from the fact that it was quite, a long launch chat. And then of course it got leaked like every other car. I've not really mentioned that, but so many of these cars have been leaked. I can't think of many that haven't, to be honest, that have been leaked before it's been released. So yeah, it was a decent launch, but probably similar to McLaren, I'd say, in terms of, chat from different people. You did get to hear from the drivers. So what did I give McLaren? 7?
I think it was
7?
6.5?
6.5, 7? Yeah, same as McLaren, whatever that was, 6.5 or 7.
And I'll go with same as McLaren as well. So I'll just match that number. And then for the livery, they don't really change it. But
they have a little bit. They've got their new by bit, which is slightly ruining it. Crypto, of course it is. Everything's crypto. It's getting ruined. I'm gonna have to say it. It's starting to get a bit messy for me.
Just with even the sponsor placement.
The Red Bull fanboy cannot hide from the fact that the thing I liked about the Red Bull is it was quite simple and slick, and you had the Red Bull on the side, and the red was nice. And now Oracle, the big buy bit on the wing and the double placement. I did a livery ratings on the website and downgraded it from my initial 9 to a 7.5. And I'll go with that.
Yeah. 7.5. Okay. I want to go with an 8. I think that it's still, it's a striking livery. It's Red Bull all over. Of course, they are starting to ruin a little bit with sponsors. I don't know why, because, they are now a world championship winning team in terms of Max Verstappen winning the World Drivers' Championship. They've got a lot of money coming in from Perez as well. It's interesting that they still feel that they need
a lot of money. They're two of the biggest, Oracle and this Bybit are two of the biggest sponsored deals in the history of sport.
That's insane,
and they've got two of them.
Oracle's 100 million a year, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, and the crypto one's 150 million over 3 years or something, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of money coming in at Red Bull.
Clearly,
so
they couldn't say no.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't use it all anyway, can they? Because there's a cost cap. So.
Yeah, just goes into the pockets.
Yeah, that may well be it. But actually, the front wings. I've just looked at
the front wing ruins
it. The Bybit thing there really is quite awful.
It's difficult as well because we obviously haven't seen the real car yet. They've been very secretive. We've not seen any. I think there's one spy picture of the real car that maybe looks a bit AlphaTauri like, but we've not seen. This is obviously the show car. It's still it's a 7.5 just because it's getting messy.
I would downgrade it, but thankfully I'm not going to see that part of the front wing that often, so it'll be fine.
True.
Right, so then we move to the final car because, of course, I know you might be thinking Alfa Romeo, but they haven't actually launched their car, so we've got
a week to wait, so we can't wait that long. Sorry, Alfa.
No, sorry, Alfa. You can't be launching the car after testing. That just doesn't happen. So finally, we have Mercedes. They had a rather dragged out launch up there with the length of McLaren. It has to be said. They probably a little bit better, I think, in a lot of ways because I like the way they integrated their young drivers. They had a chat with them. I didn't like the way that they forced the young drivers to ask the Formula One drivers questions. I felt like it was nice that you were kind of getting their own little limelight about what they're doing in their career. But when they then were like, right, so do you have any questions for Lewis? Please read the script.
It's a bit patronizing to be like, this is your hero. You should, And
I know that a lot of people as well. I know that a lot of people as well won't have felt this if they're not from the UK, but a 9 a.m. launch can jog on. So for that reason, I'm downgrading it by half a point. So I'm going to go with the launch was, it was a 7 out of 10.
I'll give it a 6, just worse than McLaren and Red Bull because I don't feel like it changed enough. It was very much like Q&A from start to finish until we saw the car. So there wasn't enough different things to keep you entertained. It was very much just like
quite stagnant.
Relentless talking, maybe even 5.5.
Yeah, downgrade me to 6.
5.5.
Editor, downgrade me to 6. There you go. So boom. All right. So there you go. 6 out of 10. You do make a very good point there, Tommy. I think I was very much in a daze at 9 a.m. having to do a live stream. And then, of course, for the car livery itself, this is again gets a bit of a conversation between render and actual car. The car that they showed in the render
was hot.
Unbelievable. I would have been close to giving that a 10, to be honest with you. It looked very, very nice. The car that they shook down with, was that the same one as what they launched? Because I don't think it was, because it looks more like the render, in my opinion, than it does.
A little bit. It's mainly it looks
more aggressive than what they showed. Yeah, that the back looks a bit more aggressive than what they showed in the live stream. Maybe it's just camera angles and lighting, but
the livery wise, obviously they returned to silver. I got a little bit slated on TikTok for saying that I thought the silver is a bit. Silver looked great in those renders, but when you see it on track, it does look a little bit flat. It looks almost grey. I much preferred how the black worked with the Patronus colors because that made it like pop a bit more. So I'm not wowed by it. It is kind of nice to see the silver back, but it's just like for me, it's kind of the same as the Williams. It's just like it's all right. I kind of like it. I don't hate it. It's I personally think it's about a 7.
Okay,
maybe a 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. I do like it in some shots, but I think, as you say, Tommy, that rating can vary depending on how the light hits it on track. So let's see how much we change our opinion when we see it on track. But yeah, I'm going to give that an 8. So there you go, Tommy. That is our ratings. Hopefully, we didn't forget anything of the launches and the liveries. I think overall, of course, we have to give the best livery to Ferrari. Definitely. And the best launch to Aston Martin.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's fair.
And can we just say that these cars are just stunning? I love them.
They're just so nice, aren't they? And they're going to evolve quite a bit over the season. So hopefully they don't get worse looking in terms of the structure of it as they find out which is the quickest way to go about things. You know, the one thing that, for example, struck a lot of people was how high the Aston Martin front wing was and things like that. And you think, maybe some angles it might look a bit weird. But let's see what the fastest thing is or the fastest concept when we get to round 1 in Bahrain.
Who's the fastest one?
WTF1. There you go. So yeah, thank you, Tommy. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening as well. Please do give us your ratings for both the launches and the liveries down in the comment section below. Please subscribe as well, because we are very nearly at 1 million subscribers. And leave a like if you enjoyed. That is pretty much it. Thank you, Tommy, the WTF1 founder. And we will see you very soon for another video. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Is Frank there?
Yeah,
it's Frank there.
Come on. Quick, he's been very good and quiet.
Quick.
On,
we're still in the outro, so I'm going to keep waving, and then we're going to show Frank.
Yawn if the Ferrari's the best livery.
Yes, that's what I wanted. I'm about to say 10 out of 10, and he yawned. Lovely. Goodbye.